The next thing I need to let you know is that this calendar system, this particular Dreamspell Galactic Calendar, has a starting date every year of July 26th on the Gregorian calendar. Now, I told you that there's 13 perfect moons of 28 days, but if you multiply 13 times 28, you get 364. So you have an extra day, which is called the day out of time. And it's no day of the week, and it's coming up 1 week from today. It'll be on July 25th of this year. And on that day, it's no day of the week. But then the New Year's Day starts on July 26th. And what I wanted to share is as we're closing out and coming to the end of the cycle, there's 26 is a base number in this pattern. There's also a 2,000 year cycle. There's so many cycles within cycles, and if any of you have ever heard of the 26,000 year Kaua'i cycle, the reason 2012 is such a powerful date is that there's a huge convergence of many cycles, and many different traditions point to that time. There's an article that Metatron has left out, if you'd like to pick up, that is based on the Bible and its relationship in the book of Revelations to the prophecies that are correlated with the Mayan prophecies. And that's at the back of the room available. So all I'm doing is sketching like a whole overview. And if you have interest in it, I now can teach this with such confidence to know if you get interested online at 13moon.org. There's so much information that you can study and learn from in the process. So to continue, I'm going to bring us back to the present moment again. And take a breath. And the next contemplation is, what does it mean to have a galactic signature? In the Dreamspell play, we put out the message that if you accept a galactic signature, you become a planetary kin. Like you already begin to know what the word kin means, so you then get your code name. So who here knows their code name, their galactic signature? Okay, let's just hear some of them.
Red Galactic Skywalker.
All right.
Blue Lunar Night.
All right.
White Overtone World Bridger.
All right.
Yellow Cosmic Seed.
Nice. Anyone else?
Red Planetary Skywalker.
All right.
All right.
Yes?
Blue Planetary.
Excellent. So all of those, are different, right, from our ordinary names. And they actually will tell us a lot about the person. When we know the system, we know their color, right? We heard some reds in there, we heard a white, we heard a yellow. There's a color pattern that underlies the whole system. And it's called the 260 days written out in a color pattern that is a radial matrix. So if we start at the beginning of the cycle with the one position is 1. It's the red of the red. And the pattern throughout this whole system always begins with red, it goes to white, it goes to blue, and it completes itself with yellow. So every 4 days, there's a harmonic. Today is a red day, red planetary dragon. Tomorrow is a white day. The next day after will be blue day and a yellow day, and then the next day will be a red day, and that goes on directly. And so this is what was called then a 52-day pattern of a red castle to initiate a 260-day cycle. Then when it goes up into the white, it refines another 52-day cycle that begins with the white wave. The red wave spell begins it, and it progresses. If there were not the system of 13, this system wouldn't progress. Because if you were to open up this other board and see what a wave spell looks like, I'm going to show you here. I hope that these aren't big enough tools. And no, I don't have a PowerPoint. I'm not that far along. But in this 13-day pattern, I just want to show you each one of these positions. You can also draw a 13-month calendar exactly in the same way. And if you only had 12 positions, you would not progress to the next color. So when you have a wave spell that starts with red, it ends with red, and that makes the next wave spell, 13-day pattern, begin with a white. All right, is everybody still kind of hanging in there with me?
Yeah.
Basic idea, color pattern, base 4. Red, white, blue, yellow. Red, white, blue, yellow. Red, white, blue, yellow. Goes on and on and on as a base 4. And directionally, red in the east in this system, white in the north, blue in the west, yellow in the south. And then when there's a fifth element, or the center, it's green. So in this 260-day printout, there's a red 52-day cycle, a white 52-day cycle, a blue cycle of 52 days, and a yellow cycle. And when you get to the center, there's what's called the Green Central Castle of Enchantment. Metatron back there, who's partnered with Aurora and is my host also, happens to begin the Green Castle of Enchantment, and he's a magnetic moon. So he's what's called the Gateway family. His family, which is also Aurora's family because she's yellow, self-existing seed, their family is always what codes July 26th, and that's why they're called the Gateway family. So once you learn where you are in these families, now this is what these seals look like. This is exactly the same pattern as this, but done as the seals. This is the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. We're all one of these in our galactic signature that we come in with. And we all have one of these positions in this 13-tone wave spell. So we have a tone, and we have a solar seal. So we all have a position in this whole great play. I happen to have come in the red cycle, the initiating cycle. And then when I first studied this, I found out that sweet first engineer husband of mine, who actually passed away 2 years ago, but he was in this northern White Castle. And when we had our 2 children, they were also in this white northern castle. So that was one of my first studies in, oh, this is so interesting to see that out of all the 260 possibilities, we were all relatively close. I was in this white wave spell, and then here, they were in each other's wave spells up here. So in other words, always, this system is about relationship. So it's almost like you couldn't play this game by yourself. It would be ridiculous. You wouldn't have your relation. So it's the proof that we're all related and we all need each other. Now there would be another way that you can write these codes. You could turn us into, basically, we're 4 basic races. We're red, we're white, we're blue, or we're yellow. I'm part of the white tribe. So if you're solar seal, so in other words, these are just the same as, but when they're in this other position, it's look at this, it's 5 by 4. So you see there's 4 rows. In this way, it's 5 this way by 4 this way. So that's how the relationships are built. So then eventually, as you play this game, you start to find out that there's a relationship between everything on the board, and by its code number, you have what's called an opposite kin, you have an analog kin, you have a guide kin, and you have an occult kin. So every day, you'll have a relationship to it. So this system obviously has, if you're going to do it, you have to learn it. And the system basically has a connection to your fingers and toes, so that on the planet Holon, you could put this, all these same solar seals, you could put them on the planet. And there's what's called the polar kin that connect to the North Pole. That's this family, the 0, 5, 10, 15. And then the next family is called the cardinal family, and that's the family that points the directions. And then there's a core Earth family. That's the family I'm in. We're in the center line. Whoever was you were the hand back there. No, planetary hand. Someone was the hand. Oh, there you were, the little planetary hand. So we're in the same family. And what that means is there will be 1 year of my life when I'll be in your position, and there will be a year when you'll be in my position, which means, again, the principle, we're all the same human, actually. So when we break this down, it's just to show us, guess what? We are all so interconnected. So having gotten our galactic signatures, there's the signal family and then finally the gateway family. Once you have your galactic signature and you enter into the play, there's a great way to use it to analyze your own life process, because every 5 days is going to be a year in your life pattern. Remember I said there's the 52-year cycle of your life? So every 5 days you can review how old you were on a given day. So if you were in this cardinal family and in today's red planetary dragon, you'd say, how old was I when I was the red planetary dragon? Is everybody still sort of with me here? Because this is all information that I don't expect anybody to know if it's the first time you've heard it. It's simply like a tapestry. So with this tapestry, there's a whole cultural phenomenon of people playing this game together and figuring out how to work with more cooperation. So in 1997, we held a 3-month seminary in Chile, in South America. We had people from 125 different countries, and we were 125, what am I saying? We had 125 people from, I think, 15 countries. And we lived according to the Earth families. So instead of arbitrarily saying, well, just your day to do the dishes, I don't care what you think, it was the family. If this was your family, if you were part of this no-dot family, every 5th day, this family was in charge of all domestic duty and making sure the camp was beautiful, taking care of things. Then the next day, this family was in charge. And we divided everybody up according to their Earth family. Then the 3rd day, it would be this core family. The 4th day, etc., etc. So according to the day it was, if it was your Earth family day, then you would be the work crew for that day, but then you'd have 4 days to study and play and do all kinds of other things. And what we discovered is that release of that pattern of the daily system was so efficient that not everybody was having to do everything every day. Right now we have a system of redundancy where everybody's having to do all the chores, and it's very hard to delegate and allocate responsibility. So it was a great experiment. And everybody who went to that seminar, we called ourselves Earth Wizards. And we were Earth Wizards because we were living according to this natural time. And then when we went back out, after we left that 3-month program, there were seeds all over the planet. So there's been great groups formed around all those people who attended that. And I know now, and I know Aurora and Metatron put out their summary that they'd like to begin to look to form a community here. My suggestion would be, if you're looking at conscious community for future forms, that using this as a basis for social organization can be a very effective form. But it's also very interesting to do something like look and see what the 2 parents, to get the galactic signatures of the parents, find out what the sum is between those 2 and see how it relates to the child when the child comes in. So it's all about relationships.